What up guys? Cody McBroom, owner of Tailored Coaching Method. Today I'm going to get beat up by Heather. This is my chiropractor and she's actually a client of ours, but she is the local chiro and I go to her every other week or so, really to just let her beat me up, quite literally, scrape me, do the
cupping.
Yeah. Today what we're gonna teach you is what you can get out of your chiro. A lot of people use chiropractics for the wrong reasons or they don't know how to find a great chiropractic, but if you are lifting a lot, whether your goal is fat loss, muscle growth, strength, performance, longevity, you can get a lot out of somebody like Heather, and I wanna show you how I utilize her so that you can lift heavier, get stronger, lose fat, build a better body, and keep doing it for years to come. So let's get into the video. All right, we're gonna get into exactly what's wrong with me. Heather's gonna explain basically what she does with me week to week. And I think this is gonna be really helpful for you because most of you watching this lift weights, you probably have the same exact issues I do because I have the most common lifters, injuries, aches, pains, things like that. So Heather, what are we getting into today? What do you normally work on me with and how do you see this applying to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the things that you come in with are a lot of shoulder mobility issues, a lot of hip mobility. You know, you work out all the time. We also sit behind a desk, right? We always have our posture, our sleeping posture, sitting posture. So we like to take a look at everything that's tight in the front and then kind of reiterate some exercises to work on for the back, for that posterior chain. So I know a lot of your programming has that in there, and that's the exact reason why most people are so tight in the front and the posterior chain's a little bit on the weaker side. So we just get in there. I just do a lot of range of motion. We do a lot of muscle work before I even go to that adjustment. And that's what makes you successful and have your heavier lifts without any pain.
Do you think there's like the answer is probably no. It's kind of like people say, can I have a green drink and not eat veggies? I'm like, oh, you still gotta eat your veggies. But can this semi-replace mobility? Because I know there's a lot of people watching like, oh, I don't have to do warm-ups or mobility anymore. I'll just go see somebody like Heather every other week. And I kind of lean on that as a crutch a little bit because I don't like doing mobility. But do you think there's at least somewhat of an advantage for those people who don't have enough time to constantly be doing that stuff every day in the gym?
There is an advantage, yes. I would love to see my patients every day. That would be awesome. That would be the ideal replacement. However, everybody has a life, right? Like I'm a mom with 2 kids, you're a dad with a kid, and you've got a family too, and not everybody has that time or the money. It does cost a lot after, insurances don't pay for it. So yes, we work on kind of the deeper rooted issues, but then we want you to work on that stuff on a daily basis. So it is going to be some things you do have to work on at home too.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna jump into it now.
All right, so I'm going to have you hands to your side, arms up all the way for me, nice and slow.
As far as I can.
Yep, so that one's a little, okay, same thing. Okay, good, perfect. All right, and then I'm gonna have you just step back a little bit. I'm gonna have you go into a squat for me. Okay, good, come on back up. Okay.
What are you looking for here in general?
So I wanna look and see symmetry, right? So I wanna see when your shoulders are coming up, just looking at you, your left trap's already really tight. Well, why? There's probably a little bit of weakness in the rhomboids, the lower traps, and the lats on that left side. When you're coming up to the side, we wanna see where is that getting hung up. Your traps are activating first, so that scapula is not moving and that fluid motion like it should. And then with the hips, same thing, we look at the alignment. We want to see if your hip shifting to the side, if you're going too far forward, if your ankle's not moving properly. Okay. So kind of looking where that motion's coming from.
This is one of the reasons why I like working with chiros like this, because you can ask questions and they will actually explain instead of just kind of skipping through or tucking in the rug. And even just hearing that, I immediately think of like, okay, what trap and rhomboid, low trap exercises am I doing that I'm doing with 2 arms? Can I do those unilateral? Which is why I program a lot of single leg, single arm exercises. Because now I can go, okay, I really need to focus on activating that properly and moving that isolated. Because when I squat, I'm like, oh, this looks great. And you're like, no, you're shifting, right? But on a single leg, I can really pay attention to that and slow it down. So I think that's super, super important to learn about the differences because nobody's perfectly symmetrical.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
cool.
Okay,
What's
so
first?
let's go and have you face down. Kind of look here at alignment of hips. We're gonna have you bend that knee. Okay, is there any pain when I come through here?
No
Okay,
pain.
good. Then we're gonna bring it to the side here. Anything through there on either one?
A little bit on the external.
Compare it over here. Anything through any of those?
No
Pretty
pain.
good. Okay, then you're gonna keep that leg straight and raise it up all the way for me. Okay, back down. Now what I want you to do is really fire your hamstring and your glute before you lift that leg. Okay, good, back down, and same thing here. Okay, good, any changes with that? Do you feel more pain with either one?
On the right a little bit.
Okay.
Just when I'm trying to
Yeah, you're using a little bit more of your QL to get that movement instead of your glute. When he was standing, that left trap was sitting up a lot higher, but as soon as he lays down, the right side goes up higher. Laying down, you have muscles firing a little differently than standing, right? And you're using gravity. When usually people are standing, their head's a little bit more forward. They tend to use the scalenes a little bit more. Shoulders go forward. Here, his shoulders can't really roll forward quite as much because the table's blocking him. So we're gonna kind of get started here. So the first thing I like to do muscle work. So we're gonna get in there, we shorten the muscle, go through some lengthening of it.
This is an active release therapy. That's like rolling and digging.
It's very similar. So ART, a lot of people
Right.
are familiar with. People get the certs and you gotta pay quite a bit of money to do it, but anybody can buy a cert. It's how experienced are you? Do you use it on a daily basis? Do you think outside the box with it? It's just a tool in the toolbox. So we're gonna bend there. And you're just gonna keep that relaxed. I'm gonna dig my little dagger in here, my thumb, and just kind of keep everything loose. If anything gets too uncomfortable, let me know. These don't feel good.
No.
You know, the body is multi-dimensional, so we want to try to get all ranges of motion and hit all of those muscle groups. Trying to get in there and open those up a bit since those were a little angry. And then we're going to get into that hamstring, so I'm going to put a little pressure here, and then we're going to go straighten it all the way down.
So you're essentially digging into a trigger point and then like taking the muscle through a full range of motion?
Yeah, so it's, you know, I always like to compare it to a deep tissue massage where we are getting into those deeper layers of muscles. However, in a regular massage, you're not going to get this movement. You're not going to shorten the muscle, put that tension, and then lengthen under it. So when you're in a regular massage, it's just, okay, you know, it feels good. But if you don't get that full range of motion, that's not doing you any favor, because once you go right back into that squat, you're not getting the attachment point, you're not getting that insertion point, and those are important too. Okay, so we're gonna get into the calf here. So I'm gonna have you bring those toes back, and then I'm gonna put a little pressure here, and you're gonna bring the toes all the way down.
Ooh.
Good, come on back up. And again. And most people don't stretch their calves very much. That's the last thing they think about stretching. So these often are pretty tight on people.
Which is ironic because you walk on them.
Exactly. Good, come on back.
Oh, that fucker's tight.
Good, perfect. This will be good. Okay, so I'm gonna work on the other side too, but I'm gonna do just a little bit of cupping on your low back. So we're just gonna get some more blood flow to the area. So I like to do the cups to help open up the fascia a little bit as well. I like to do a combination of things too. I mean, Cody, we've been working on you long enough. We kind of know what your body responds to. But when somebody first comes into the office, I usually just stick to some of the muscle work. Kind of see how their body responds, and then we can go into cups and Graston and different things like that too.
What is the purpose of the cupping? Because I gotta be honest, like when that first I started seeing it, and I started seeing like horror stories or like memes of people just fucked up, purple head to toe, I thought it was just stupid. I was like, there's no way that's doing anything. But then you kind of schooled me on it a little bit.
You know, we want blood flow. A lot of people, you know, they kind of are stuck in that old school thought with injuries where, oh, it hurts, I'm gonna ice it. Well, when you have muscles, you really want blood flow. You want that mobility. You want to get that body moving as quickly as possible. That's why a lot of these guys are really popular right now on Instagram. Some of the rehab that they do is because they're trying to get that body through movement. They actually will heal faster. So when we're doing the cupping, it's actually bringing blood flow. We're trying to open everything up in those channels of the body. So you'll kind of see the different colors there, and some people are black and blue, some people are a little bit more red. It's just how much stagnant blood is sitting in there. So we're trying to get blood flow in there, and then usually after that I'll do some muscle work on top of it, so we're getting mobility in there as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take these off.
Something to think about too, a lot of people don't know, is when your nervous system is fired into the sympathetic nervous system tone, so cortisol's up, stress, hormone stress in general, adrenaline goes up, your flexors in your body actually tighten and shorten. So your shoulders, your hip flexors mainly, they actually literally contract, they get shorter. So if people are high stress all the time, it actually fucks up your posture more. You have more of these issues. So on top of being stressed, working a desk job and all those things, you know, and not training properly, it just snowball effect.
Yep, right? Exactly. Internal rotators and rotator cuffs. So I'm gonna have you start there, and then I'm gonna have you go ahead and straighten that arm all the way, and then turn the thumb down. Good. Come on back again. Good. Come on back. And again. So kind of similar, you're gonna start there and you're gonna stretch all the way and then go up towards your ear. Good. Good, let that relax when I did.
This is a torture device. It's a metal rod. Seems very
Literally, yeah.
therapeutic.
So a lot of people talk about scraping the muscle, and it sounds really horrible. We're not trying to damage tissue. What we're actually trying to do, it's similar to cupping. We want to bring blood flow to the surface. So we use a metal tool. The reason why it's metal is you can actually feel the feedback the muscle gives you a lot more than the plastic tools that people use. So we use a little bit of a barrier cream because we obviously don't want to create a friction rub or actually tear the skin. But what we're trying to do is use a little bit of pressure. We're trying to break up any scar tissue in the fascia, any adhesions that are in there. We could just do different angles, different parts of the body, and the tool allows us to get in there a little bit deeper too. And I like to do this in the shoulder because, you know, the hips have a lot of mobility, the shoulders have even more mobility. So this just allows me to get in there a little bit deeper, and then we can have you move with it as well. Doing okay in there?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of how we were doing before, you're gonna start here, and then you're just gonna straighten that arm all the way and go towards your ear there. Good, come on back, and again. Good, come on back. Let that relax when you're good. Of all the stuff, because you've had cupping, you've had grafting, you've had the muscle work, what do you feel like being somebody that works out has been the most effective?
It's so hard to say because I get the most out of it when I think it's individualized to me. I don't ever just go and get one thing from you. So it's hard to say because it's like you're, no pun intended, tailoring a tool to the muscle that needs it for whatever reason. So I don't know, it's hard. This thing probably feels the worst. Now we're gonna get into adjustments versus just strictly muscle work.
All right, so, you know, when I was watching you squat, he was shifting a little bit over to that left side. So we know that that hip has got some issues going on. It was tighter. We got all those muscles loosened up, so we're just kind of double checking, and he is a little bit shorter on that side, which, you know, a lot of people go to the chiropractor, I got a short leg. Well, what does that mean? You don't have an anatomically short leg, most people don't, but it's just the way the hip is rotated. So usually the hip flexor is tighter on that side, pulling that hip up and forward. We did the muscle work in the back. We'll do the adjustment for the hip, and then we'll still do muscle work on the front too. I'm gonna have you keep that leg relaxed for me. And we're just gonna do a little distraction through here, so keep that loose. Good, perfect. And then we always double check, right? Because that's the whole reason to adjust, is making sure we're getting back that mobility. So let's go into that mid back here. Okay, so we're gonna get right in through here. So I'm gonna have you take a nice deep breath in and let that all the way out for me. And I'm gonna do a little drop. So opening up that mid back, especially through here. You know, hip flexors are in the front, but they do attach all the way to the mid back. So we want to try to create anywhere that there's movement, opening up that muscle, get that full mobility. And then, so a little bit higher here when you're laying down. So that rib up there is a little bit tighter. I don't know if you can feel that, Cody. So we're gonna get in there and adjust that here in a second. I'm gonna have you go ahead and you're gonna lay this side down on the table for me. You're gonna bring that leg down and forward off the table. So again, we talk about range of motion, and we just try to get those muscles as mobile as possible. You know, some people will use lacrosse balls, foam rollers, things like that for mobility, and that's great, but it's really hard to get all this range of motion in there by yourself. Okay, so we're gonna get, same thing with that leg, we're gonna get into that low back a little bit. So leg goes down and forward, and then your arm is gonna reach back to the corner, like you're really trying to get that stretch. So we're getting these multifidi, these really tiny muscles that work on rotation in that low back. We're gonna adjust the low back on this side since this is tighter up here. So I'm just gonna have you try to let everything relax for me. Good, okay, let's have you on your other side. Okay, so let's straighten it out a little bit there. Leg down and forward. This side's gonna be a little tighter. Between the sides, there's different things happening. So his left low back is tighter on the left, but his right hip is tighter on this side. We have to work all those imbalances to make sure we're getting the right results that we want.
Isn't there something called cross janda? Like they talk about it, everything cross.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh, like upper cross and lower cross syndrome?
Yeah.
Yeah, upper cross and lower cross, both of them are weak posterior chain. Weak mid back, weak glutes, weak erectors, weak hamstrings. That's why, things like your programming and people that really know what they're doing to activate that posterior chain is really key.
Now, I know that when I was an in-person trainer, I had way less of this. And I actually did far less mobility and care for my body back then.
And you weren't sitting behind a computer,
Exactly, I was walking the whole day training people.
So we're gonna get a little bit here in that TFL. So that leg's gonna straighten, but you're gonna bring it back towards me. And then you're gonna kind of drop it on the table. Let it come up back up. And again. And relax, good. Okay, let's go and have you on your back. This hand's gonna go here. That one goes up and over my back. Nice deep breath in. Let that all the way out. Good.
Oh, that was loud. And I would say too, like, if you go to your chiropractor and you're in and out in 10 to 15 minutes, and they don't, you don't always need all of this. You can't do this in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and say you come in and your body's wrecked, you just crushed it on a workout, and it's like, hey, next time why don't you make a 30-minute appointment, because we're gonna spend that time with you. We wanna make sure we get to the problem there.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you're gonna push that arm back towards me, and then let that relax. And again, and relax.
Is there a good way to train internal rotation? Because obviously, like, face pulls are easy, but internal rotation is like pretty tough. Because even like if you're doing those old school, like with the 5-pound plate, even going down, gravity's pulling it down. You're not really doing anything against resistance. Or do you have to have some kind of external feedback like you're giving me right now?
Honestly, when I'm trying to do it on my own, sometimes I'll actually use like a massage gun to vibrate, because vibration overrides those pain receptors in the spine and the brain. So we're gonna get in through here. So I'm gonna have you here, and then you're gonna curl your fingers in your wrist. So I know you with your online stuff use your computer a lot. I like to get these on people as well, because if there's a lack of mobility in your wrist, if you don't have the mobility here also, it's gonna translate up to your shoulder. Okay, so we're gonna get in through here, and then I'm gonna get into your mid back. So I'm gonna get some extension in there. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, all the way out. I'm just gonna drop. Good. Okay, we're gonna go to right there. And then we're gonna take a look at your neck here. And then your jaw's a little shifted. I know your history with your jaw, but a lot of people come into tightness through here. These are tight. The jaw can get misaligned. So again, if your neck's always out, you're always getting your neck adjusted and nobody looks at your jaw either, that's a really big point that needs to be addressed too. Go ahead and open and then close. And open and close.
Your jaw does not feel good.
No. We're gonna adjust your neck on this side. Go and keep that loose for me. Good. And over here on this one, let that drop. Good. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit through here. Okay, so let's get a little here. And here. Good. Okay, let's go and have you sitting up facing that way. Nice and tall. And then just gonna relax that. Good. Same thing over here. Nice and tall. Flick it back. Good. Perfect. So that's all the muscle work, the adjustments. We like to keep it pretty specific. I could snap, crackle, pop everything, but it's not doing him any favor. So we try to be very specific, so when he goes and does his workouts later, he's got the right tools to work with him.
I feel amazing. I'm gonna go sprint a marathon. To keep it relative to what I do that I think is very applicable for a lot of people, I see you every other week. Mm-hmm. So every 2 weeks I'm in there. I do it in the morning, I train hours later. I find that if I do it in the morning, I feel better because I know that workout that day is gonna be better. But I don't like doing it personally right before, because sometimes I'm a little sore right afterwards, depending on what you do. So again, like, my advice is do it hours before you work out, but most importantly, not to relate it back to supplements or nutrition, it's kind of like creatine. People say, what's the best time? Post-workout, but really just fucking take it every day and you'll be fine. To me, that's how this is. It's just keeping up with your body. If you don't do this stuff, aches, pain, injuries, they're more likely to happen if you're really pushing your body. And a lot of you watching the channel, like, you guys like to push your body. So my opinion, doing this at least once a month, if not every other week, is ideal. That's the video, guys. If you like the video, please give us a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you get notified every single time we drop a new video. And if you have any questions about chiropractic, adjustments, Grasson, or any of the things that we went over today that are probably way over my head, we're gonna link all of Heather's information in the description of this YouTube video so that you can reach out to her via email or Instagram. You can ask her questions and maybe she can help you as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.